Hello guys, welcome back. Myre here, and it looks like Drake's Mule is finally out for DefenseCon, so let's go ahead and have a look and see what the heck this thing is all about then. I believe that we have the store page and also the Q&A out at the same time, so it's going to be a bit of a longer one for our usual ship, showcase stuff. So let's go ahead and have a look. Alright, so Drake Mule, an all-new cargo loader from Drake. So unleash the beast. Oh man, the beast. Okay, we'll see. So with countless contracts being swiped by corporate interests, or worse yet, the government, competition has never been stiffer for honest workers trying to earn their fair share. So who's gonna get those precious few jobs for grabs? Some rookie in an overloaded rover? Or an experienced operator in a six-wheeled beast fine-tuned to dominate small freight? They call Mule stubborn, but we say they just don't know when to quit. From personal deliveries to stripping industrial freighters, the Mule is the beast for the job. So from personal deliveries, I'm guessing the box missions, to stripping industrial freighters, so I guess being there to get boxes and stuff from things like, you know, Freelancer Maxes, Hull Series, that kind of thing. I guess we'll have a look and see, huh? So here's a picture of somebody just, you know, grabbing one of those, I think it's like Dilutable Max or something, you know, like those unstable boxes from a mission, and moving them onto their Mule, I guess, to then drive into their, you know, like any ship that can hold a PTV or something. You know, so determined, get done, get paid. So with room for 6 small boxes, you can quickly and efficiently execute the mission at hand. Load up, hop in, and be on your way. No fussing with oversized ships and unwieldy cargo bays, making countless trips on foot or wasting fuel in simple planet-side cargo runs. Alright, so uncompromising beast of burden. The Mule is also your go-to workhorse when you need to get larger cargo into, out of, or across territory that can't accommodate ships. Load up the spacious rear cargo bay and take on the harshest and most treacherous runs, traversing the toughest terrain possible. The Mule simply works. Now, when we got these caves that could like get vehicles and stuff in, like only the mouths of those caves currently are actually like, you know, vehicle accessible. You can't drive you know, like a PTV or something all the way through into one of them. Otherwise, it could be really cool to have a mule like this to like go inside and get boxes of like gems and that kind of thing, but who's to say that couldn't still happen in the future? Alright, unrelenting lock and load. So the Mule's built-in fork, it's not really a forklift, is it? Its built-in fork allows for easy, hands-off loading of cargo onto or off larger vessels and cargo decks. In a pinch, the forklift can also be used for extra mobile storage. It should be noted that due to the pending patent issue, the Mule is shipping with lift loading functionality disabled. Contact your local authorized Drake dealership for information on when the full power of the forklift will be unlocked, or the fork no lift, as Salty Mike called it. So yeah, right now, until we get physicalized cargo in with 318 at the end of quarter 3 scheduled, it looks like the fork no lift is not going to work. Not going to be in just yet. Alright, so explore the Mule. So it has a 6-wheeled chassis. Can we click on this? It's not, we can play and pause it though. So 6-wheeled chassis, a forklift, load cargo onto or off larger vessels and cargo decks. A cab designed with ease of use, comfort, and durability in mind, the Mule's cab lets you execute any operation with confidence. Small box storage. Versatility is the name of the game with storage. Okay, and it has that rear SU storage as well. It's really cute. Yeah, 100%. So there we go. We got a gallery of the Mule in use here. I do like that it's not really a new logo for Drake, but I like when Drake's logo is just the D there. It's pretty cool looking. But yeah, here we have the Mule just loading and unloading a caterpillar with its its door elevators down. A feature that we've wanted in the game for quite some time, but it's going to be really necessary when 318 comes in, because otherwise how on earth are you supposed to load one of these things without having a tractor beam? Alright, so here we have somebody else with a friend loading up stuff, racing with boxes, you know, walking towards all your usual marketing kind of images here. Really cool vehicle. I mean, just in terms of its look, I'm not sure if it has a tractor beam. It kind of feels as if you might need one to like finish a load job, especially if you're like loading and unloading something like a hull series. But I guess, you know, like if you have a personalized hanger or like a personal hanger whenever those come in, the persistent hangers, like getting the boxes to the ship to then get tractored is going to be part of the job as well. So if and when, you know, tractor beams finally get the whole survival mechanism for them of the battery power, battery life, it might be that these things will have a use. That and also things like the Argo MPUV as well. Right now, most ships have a really high fuel economy, and you don't really need things like this just yet, but CIG could easily change a couple parameters and make these things really useful. I think there was also a discussion on the subreddit of having things like, let's say, an Origin Jumpworks 315p in your hangar and using that as like, you know, I forget the word they use, but like just a crane, you know, so you drive this to the ship that you want to load, and then you use the tractor beam on your ship like a Cutlass or a, you know, like a 315p to then do the final loading onto the other ship. Or, you know, like, they also want to have the actual, physical, whatchamacallits as well, right? They want to have the actual bespoke tractor beam that's not the multi-tool. But I can't wait to see what happens with that. In this image, we also see, people using just trolleys up there as well. I do wonder if those are something that's actually going to be a thing in the game, or if it's literally just there for flavor. We've had tons of, you know, like flavor vehicles and flavor items in the past that kind of sell an image. Whether or not this one here is going to be a thing for moving these SCU boxes when 318 comes in is yet to be seen. But who knows? We've had like trolley tech in for a while, and it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, like the trolley tech and the gunny tech and all that has kind of been working up towards being able to use it for something like this. All right, so these things actually do even have like text. So it just says images depict the Drake Mule with reburn, bushwhacker, or smokestack paints applied. Reburn, bushwhacker, and smokestack paints are available as separate add-ons, etc. Okay, cool. So here we go. These are the paints available. So here's the base paint. So your typical Drake yellow with some gray. You got smokestack, which is your gunmetal kind of variant. You've got reburn, so you've got that like this kind of is to match the coalfire, like dragonfly and cutlass. You've got the bushwhacker, which is your mill green as well, in case you know you're somebody who has like a whole bunch of mill green ships in your armada. All right, rain confirmed? I highly doubt it. I mean, like, rain is obviously confirmed, right? But I just feel like this is just, you know, it's art, right? But rain is definitely a thing, you know, I mean, it's kind of out of the scope of the video, but it's definitely something that they want in Star Citizen at some point. So you have condensation right now, but they do also want, like, moving storm fronts and actually having weather as a thing to watch out for when you're flying your ship around. All right. Wax Steven in the Twitch chat says, I do hope that you can earn more cargo or more for cargo if there's a lot more different stages involved. Oh yeah, I mean, when the cargo refactor comes in for 318, we're likely going to see a massive change with how everything works. Currently, you know, like hauling from A to B is 90%, if not 95% of all cargo hauling is. The other 5% is, you know, planet side or station side, pressing a button to buy commodities. And, you know, depending on what you're trading and how you're trying to trade, if you're trying to trade like it was, you know, 314, then you're basically going to be waiting at the station for a while, waiting for that tick up before you can buy more stuff. But if you're just buying things incidentally, as I feel like it's I feel like it's intended for now, you know, like it's instant. But they do want all these extra stages of loading and unloading your ship, and they've talked about things like having a cargo timer. The cargo timer is a feature that they've talked about years and years ago. You know, it was even on the roadmap for some time, but it was reprioritized because of where economy is right now. They didn't want to just make it so that, like, you know, like cargo runners and stuff would just have to wait arbitrarily. But they do want you to be able to load and unload cargo in several different ways based on your playstyle. So the first way, of course, is like how you can normally do it right now, which is you press a button and the ship gets unloaded. The only difference being is that it's going to be NPC driven. Whether or not you get to see the NPCs do this stuff or not is to be seen. You might see NPCs go ahead and try and get into your ship and move the stuff around. If that's the case, You know, like it's subject to bugs, you know, and like waiting for an NPC to path through your ship and grab your boxes. It could just be a time-based thing, so you go to the station and, you know, we wait like, you know, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on if it's like a Hull E or an Aurora, right, for the NPCs to do it. But I think it would be really cool if there was a medium between that, where like you could press the button to get the NPCs to help you, like, you know, unload your ship, but also you as a player could then also try and do some yourself as well to offset that time. I think that'd be really cool. On top of that, they talked about how they wanted reputation in the future to also kind of impact that. If you have a high rep in a landing zone, for instance, or a station, you know, by doing missions for them, maybe perhaps they would, like, you know, they would favor you with having cheaper, like, ground crew to help you with your ship or that kind of thing as well, or even faster times. All right, so that's that so far. It's on special offer and all that. It's DefenseCon right now over in game, and it's currently running at 38 quid or your regional equivalent. Is this a purchase? I don't think so. I mean, obviously, if you want to support CIG and the development of the game and the creation of this vehicle, then you can do so. It's straight to drivable right now. But honestly, like, I would say this is a sort of thing that you should probably wait to get in game. Because of its role, it isn't going to be any more expensive, I'd imagine, than an Ursa Rover or even a Cyclone, which, you know, is just a few missions, like 5,000 UEC missions to get. Of course, there's going to be a delay of 3 months before you can actually get one, unless of course you buy one right now or pledge for one right now. There's always a 3-month embargo, but I definitely say, unless you want the lifetime insurance token or whatever like that, this to me seems like a wait ship, a vehicle, unless of course you just want it now because you want it now and you want to support CIG. But all in all, it's a cool looking thing. We do have to have more information about how it's all going to work and tie in though. But I can see with the addition of more survival mechanics and stuff like that and tweaks here and there, this could be kind of useful. All right, so that's that for this, which is the store page, obviously. However, there's also a Q&A that CIG released at the same time, which is kind of rare for CIG. Normally they wait for you to buy it first. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a look at this. So it says, now that the Mule from Drake Interplanetary has been added to the verse, we posed a few questions to the vehicle team about the new cargo hauler vehicle. Here are the answers straight from the designers themselves. Okay, so here is the real meat and potatoes as to what we can expect. If not, why should you get one now? So, is the driver's cabin sealed so that the vehicle can be used in harsh environments? You know, like we had this whole fiasco before with the Rock DS and having the manable arm being exposed to the elements. So does it have a life support unit? So it's a fully sealed unit vehicle. So while inside the vehicle, you're protected from the environment. Okay. So can you wear a heavy environment suit like the Pembroke armor for heat protection while seated in the driver's compartment? So they say here the Mule will fall in line with other vehicles and ships, so will either offer restricted access or impaired use based on the type of armor worn when this feature comes online in a future patch. So they say here, right? So this is like a design thing they haven't really married to yet, but essentially what it is that they want there to be reasons why you should and shouldn't use heavy armor, which, you know, might have its own internal power systems and stuff that might be wasted, but also it's clunky. Things like backpacks as well might not be usable while you're on these things, which are why things like this tend to have storage as well for things like your backpacks anyway. But it could be that you could be in a heavy armor and use this, but it might mess up your steering range and that kind of thing, but we don't know just yet. So how well armored is this vehicle compared to other ground vehicles? Does the SCU loaded in the rear receive an armor bonus against incoming damage? So the Mule is not armored and is not designed to be used in a combat environment. It is essentially a cargo loading and transport vehicle. The cargo in the rear is not protected beyond being inside the vehicle. So when physicalized damage finally comes into the game as the damage model that's, the opposite of what we have right now, which is like a HP model, maybe perhaps you can buy a storage crate that has more armor inherently, but otherwise I don't see that happening. So which ships will it fit in? So the Drake Mule should fit inside any vehicle the Grey Cat ROC fits in. So basically every single vehicle that has an interior. Except for maybe the Reliant Maybe. Can you fit a Grey Cat PTV? No, ROC into a Reliant? Maybe. I don't think so. Alright, so how maneuverable and fast is it compared to other ground vehicles? Can it turn on the spot like a forklift to more easily pick up boxes from the rear with the front mount, or maneuver inside ship hangars? So it's our first skid steer vehicle, and as such can rotate on the spot like a forklift to aid in maneuverability. I believe the Nova tank can do this as well. So compared to other ground vehicles, it is on the slower end of the scale, as it's not built for speed or racing. Try us, we're still gonna race them. Alright, so how capable is it off-road? Will the cargo have a negative impact on its off-road capability? So the Mule, while capable of going off-road, is not designed with significant ground clearance like dedicated off-road vehicles such as the Ursa and Cyclone, so cannot traverse extreme terrain. Having cargo on board will impact handling in the future as the mass will increase, but due to its location within the vehicle, will help keep the center of mass low. So this is our first confirmation that mass of your cargo will actually affect not only ships, which they've confirmed before, but also how the locomotion of ground vehicles will work as well. However, with the center of mass being, you know, like pretty close with the fork no lift and the clamp in the back, it shouldn't be too bad. It might be slower, might be harder to turn, but there you go. It should definitely fit the Constellation. Definitely fit the Constellation. So is the vehicle equipped with a rear view camera, which would make it much easier to approach SCU boxes without having to switch to a third-person camera perspective? So some people don't know this, but in all vehicles in SC have a rear view camera, but it's not bound by default because everything else is bound. Not enough keys, but players can enable it. So is the SCU box fed and dispensed into the back of the vehicle via an automated process, or does it have to be physically pushed in and pulled out? So the mechanism is automated in the rear in terms of moving the cargo in and out of the vehicle, but it must be physically attached first by either tractor beam or driving over it. So you have a choice there. You can either have a friend to tractor it in, or you can just drive over it. So some mission boxes and cargo are unstable, explosive, or sensitive to impacts. Can the Mule's chassis compensate for vibrations to keep cargo steady during rougher trips? This kind of only covers one kind of those things, because again, you have the ones that are unstable and will explode over time, regardless of if you're steady or not. It says here, as the mission boxes are physically attached to the vehicle, it does dampen the impact somewhat, but direct hits to the cargo from other projectiles or rollover collisions could still cause concern. So it's saying, yeah, for those things, but not everything. So you can drive kind of crazy, kind of wacky, but at the same time, doesn't mean you have, you know, if you crash, you're safe. You know, other vehicles like the Ursa that don't necessarily have like a big cargo grid might be able to have like stuff slide about with force reactions in the future, like you can in ships, but for boxes, not just for people. So like that's definitely going to be a benefit here, especially if you're driving kind of wacky. So can the 6 mission boxes be loaded manually, or is the railing so high that they have to be placed via tractor beam? Alright, so players can reach them from the ground. Currently, they can only be loaded manually by hand, but in the future, using a tractor beam will allow them to snap into place. And this is the first confirmation of tractor beams being used to snap items into cargo grids. Otherwise, you're gonna have some really messed up people when 318 comes along and their cargo is all skew with because they haven't been able to, like, you know, properly align the cargo perfectly the way they want it to. So that's good to see. Alright, so let's see. So are the mission box slots classed as cargo grids, thus fixing the boxes in place, or are the boxes at risk of being flung out while driving on rough terrain? So once attached to the side saddles, boxes are locked in place and will not be thrown out during transit. So that's generally speaking, I mean, of course this could be different from how cargo grids in 318 will work, but generally speaking, you know, they just said, using the tractor beam, it'll lock them in place into a grid, and they've called it a cargo grid already just a second ago. So it does seem as if, like, in the future, like, this is speculation, but it does seem like in the future with other ships that you can currently only fill so much, there is clearance and you can still fit in other boxes, you might be able to do that in the future, but obviously you'd have to worry about things being flung around. So can the front SCU mount be moved up to climb steep ramps without touching down? So the front SCU mount raises a little when attached, but doesn't raise up like a traditional forklift. So again, it's a fork no lift. It's just like it can grab things and it can drop things, but it can't, you know, do the uppy downy thing. So can the front SCU holder lift the crates high enough to stack 2, 3, or even 4 SCUs on top of each other? Because on ships, the crates are stacked on top of each other. So no, apparently. So it'll only raise them above the floor and does not support stacking. This must be done either by crane or tractor beam. And again, that's the first time in this Q&A that's a third thing they've mentioned now that we've never heard of before, like we've never had confirmation for before. But like, so we have tractor beams right now, but they've never mentioned anything about physical cranes. Certain certain ships in Star Citizen do have cranes on the ceilings. If you look at the ceilings of things like, I believe, the Valkyrie, or if you look at the ceiling of the Hammerhead's cargo bay, you will see a little crane thing there, and it seems as if maybe perhaps that's the intended use of that thing. Vehicles like the Starfarer have that like overview of your cargo bay, and it has like a little console there. Now again, this is speculation, but maybe perhaps that's the controls that you'd be using for things like that. The Starfarer is yet to be gold standard, and maybe perhaps they'd have a crane in there for it, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. So can the Mule be spawned inside hangars we land in, so we can load and unload cargo faster in landing zones? So once we get persistent hangars and the updated cargo system working, we'd like to give players various ways to load and unload their landed or docked ships. This could be via things like handheld tractor beams or vehicles like the Mule, SRV, and MPUV. You know, because like right now in Star Citizen, you have several different kinds of hangars when you're down in like, let's say Lorville, for instance. But like, I don't necessarily know what's stopping you from like, say, getting the biggest hangar available that can fit like, let's say an 890 jump, even if you don't own one, if you wanted to do this, right? If you wanted to have multiple ships in that hangar at once, including it like, let's say a Mule. Obviously we have no idea how it's going to work in the future. Maybe it will have something to do with like having to rent those locations out. And so like, yeah, you could get an 890 jump hangar, but you might not necessarily be able to keep it, afford the upkeep if all you're doing are Aurora box missions. Who knows? But yeah. So does the Mule offer personal inventory space or weapon racks? Yes, it has both. So the Mule has weapon racks. I guess, you know, it's not just weapons, right? Like, it's a weapon rack, but maybe perhaps it's there for not necessarily weapons, but for the transportation of the bespoke tractor beam, for instance. Because, again, the Mule isn't able to stack boxes. It's just to get the boxes where they need to be, and then at the end of its journey, you'll need something else to then, you know, clamp the box to the thing. Either like stacking them in a caterpillar or like tractor beaming them to clamp onto the hull A. Alright, so do the forklifts lift from the bottom, clamp from the sides, or are they simply magnetic? Are there any mechanics that prevent cargo from falling off the forklifts? So that they clamp from the sides and cargo is kept in place with magnets. So they just kind of do this, boop, and then it's just tight. So how adjustable is the throttle when handling delicate loading from the front? So the throttle isn't adjustable. So like with ships, you can like press right alt and scroll wheel and you can adjust how much thrust you're putting into the ship at any one time. You know, doing so in gravity can actually make you sink and hit the ground. With this, it's saying that you can't do that with this ground vehicle, maybe not with ground vehicles at all. But it does seem that the overall acceleration is low enough that it shouldn't matter. So does the Mule have a backup beeper sound, so as not to crush other players, or a horn to warn them that they might be in the way? No, not at the moment. So they're saying there might be a chance. It might be flare or something, you never know. So are the lights capable of illuminating in front of the Mule if it's carrying a cargo box? So as the box is raised up slightly, the lights go around it and underneath it. Alright, so that's that for the Q&A for the Drake Mule. There we go. the Drake Mule. All in all, I mean, it does seem like a really interesting vehicle. It does kind of raise a few more questions, even if we had a ton of them, and a lot of them, you know, have to do with like cargo loading. You know, like at the end of it, there's no tractor beam on it. Certain vehicles, like even the Caterpillar itself, does have a tractor beam room. You can even see it in this image right over here. But that being said, I'm not necessarily sure if you're gonna be able to stack the boxes in your Caterpillar using that tractor beam. Maybe you can. I can't really see it from here. Maybe perhaps the tractor beam has like a camera inside the bay for you to do it, you know, but I don't know. I do look forward to it though. It does seem really cool. I look forward to like, again, persistence coming to Star Citizen, but also with it, survival mechanics, things like, you know, more finite hydrogen fuel, more finite like tractor beam energy batteries, that kind of thing, making things like this necessary. There's a lot of stuff coming on the horizon for SC, and this kind of just adds to that, like, you know, that wonder. Even if you're not going to buy one, you know, or if cargo hauling isn't really for you, this does still seem to be a pretty interesting vehicle, and it might be useful. It really depends on what they want to do with the MPUV, because obviously the MPUV is like this, but it flies. So why would you want to use this over the other? I'm guessing, you know, like the MPUV has thrust, it might blow the boxes away, it might get in the way, it might run out of fuel, that kind of stuff if you're trying to load in a hangar. We just don't know yet. Anyway, that's going to be that for us today about the Mule. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. As always, you can catch us live on Twitch TV, where we've been, well, we're about to go ahead and drive the Drake Mule, do some stuff in the verse. But if not, I'll see you for another one of these things whenever they come up. I do believe we have a roadmap video to release and other stuff too, so watch this space. I'll have some lore stuff. I have some more like... there's a lot of SC content out there, and I want to try and do my best to get more of it out. I've got some plans. So watch this space. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, be good.